Think back to the last time you, say, memorized a friend's phone number, or figured out how to ride a bike, or maybe tried to master a brand new video game. It's really easy to just imagine that your brain is storing that information, kind of like a computer saving files to a hard drive, right? Well, that couldn't be further from the truth. Your brain isn't just saving data, it is actually physically rebuilding itself literally every single day. So, what's actually happening in there when you learn? We need to just completely toss out the idea that your brain is this static biological storage device. Every new skill you pick up, every single memory you make, and every lesson you take in actually rewires billions of brain cells inside your head. You are quite literally a constant work in progress. And the mechanics of how this all goes down, it's absolutely fascinating. Section 1. The brain's living network. Okay, let's dive right into this. To really wrap our heads around neuroplasticity, we first need to look at the macro view of your brain's anatomy. 1 4 kilograms. That is the weight of the average human brain. And yet, this relatively tiny thing holds the undisputed title of being the absolute most complex object we know of in the entire universe. It's this living, breathing network of just astonishing proportions. And here is exactly why it's so complex. 86 billion. That is the massive number of neurons packed inside your head right now. But don't think of them as simple storage units. Instead, think of these neurons as a vast biological processing network. Basically, every time you see something, hear something, or experience something new, this massive network wakes up and gets straight to work processing all that new information. But what's truly staggering here is the sheer scale of how they communicate. Those 86 billion neurons, they talk to one another using these tiny electrical signals and chemical messengers. And by doing that, they create over 100 trillion connections. We call these synapses. I mean, to put that into perspective, imagine every single person on Earth talking to thousands of other people at exactly the same time. That chaotic, vibrant web of communication is roughly what your brain is doing every single second. And learning? It starts right here. Section 2. Blazing a new trail. So, knowing what we're working with, what happens when we introduce a brand new skill into this massive network? Well, imagine sitting down to play the piano for the very first time. Everything feels incredibly slow. It's confusing and your fingers are constantly hitting the wrong keys, right? Why does that happen? Because your brain has literally never performed this exact task before. To adapt to this entirely new challenge, your brain relies on synaptic plasticity. This is, without a doubt, your brain's ultimate superpower. It's the ability to physically create and then strengthen brand new neural pathways, entirely through your experiences and your practice. Think of it like this. Walking that first neural path, like making your first awkward attempt at the piano, is a lot like trying to hack your way through a super dense forest. The trail is incredibly difficult to make, and you have to fight through all the thick brush. But every time you practice, you walk that exact same trail again, and eventually, the brush gets trampled down. What was once a thick, dense forest slowly turns into a smooth, easily navigatable road. Section 3. Building the superhighway. Now, sustained practice doesn't just leave you with a nice, smooth road. It takes that road and totally transforms it into an effortless, high-speed biological network. And this brilliantly illustrates the golden scientific rule of repetition. Neurons that fire together, wire together. Basically, the more often you use a connection, the stronger it becomes. Every single repetition physically strengthens the bonds between those specific neurons. So over time, those electrical signals travel way faster, and your mistakes become fewer and fewer. This creates what we can call the neurological superhighway. It's the exact reason why driving a car, typing on a keyboard, or riding a bike eventually feels completely effortless and automatic to us. Your brain has successfully transformed that weak, dense forest pathway into a super fast, permanent superhighway. Let's move to Section 4 and see how this builds the night shift. A lot of people mistakenly believe that learning only happens while you're actively studying or practicing something, but actually, deep sleep plays an incredibly vital role in organizing all of these new skills. While you're sleeping, your brain acts a lot like a dedicated night shift crew. During deep sleep, it reviews everything you learned during the day and decides which memories are actually important. It basically does two crucial things. It strengthens the useful neural connections and it prunes away the weaker, unused ones. It's kind of like organizing files on your computer overnight. This, by the way, is exactly why a student who gets a full night of sleep will almost always remember far more than one who stays up all night cramming. So the crucial point here is that forgetting is actually a feature, not a bug.
I know that sounds weird, but if learning creates new connections, why do we forget things? Well, because connections that aren't used begin to weaken. Your brain is constantly removing information it believes is unnecessary just to help you stay efficient. I mean, imagine if you actually remembered every single conversation you ever had, or every random ad you ever saw. Your brain would become completely overwhelmed. By pruning things away, forgetting literally makes room for new, important learning. It is a massive evolutionary advantage.
Section 5, How to Learn Faster. Now we understand the biology behind all this, how can we actually use this to our advantage? Well, scientists have identified a concrete toolkit of study habits that basically give your brain the exact biological conditions it needs to thrive. So, instead of cramming, try to space out your practice repeatedly over time to really help that wiring process. Ensure you're getting deep sleep so your night shift crew can do its job. Exercise regularly, which physically boosts blood flow to your brain. Take short breaks to help process information, and to solidify those new pathways even further, try teaching someone else what you've learned. Oh, and finally, stay curious. I really want to emphasize that last point. Staying curious isn't just some feel-good mindset. It physically activates your brain's reward system. Curiosity actually releases chemicals that make learning easier and just far more enjoyable. Your brain is literally designed to learn. You simply have to give it the right conditions to succeed. And here's a really fun meta reveal for you. Because every single book you read, every language you study, and every challenge you face leaves a tiny physical mark inside your brain. Watching this explainer just changed your brain. Literally at this very moment, simply by focusing on this presentation, you have successfully formed new neural connections in real time. Old connections have become stronger. Learning is quite literally how your brain grows.
Which leaves us with this final, empowering thought. What superhighway are you going to build next? The next time you sit down to learn something new and it feels impossibly difficult, remember everything we've talked about in this explainer. When your fingers stumble or your mind feels kind of cloudy, you aren't failing. You are just blazing a brand new trail in the forest. You are building a better brain. Thanks for spending this time with me, and I highly encourage you to go out there and start building your next superhighway today.